We're in our last week of the month of Zeal, October. And zeal, of course, is our innate divine power of enthusiasm and excitement and passion and motivation. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of a different turn on it this time because we've been talking about that enthusiasm and we've been talking about amping up our energy. But there's another side of zeal that I want to talk about this week. And that side of zeal is that point of motivation. And where does our motivation come from? So my talk today is the nudge to awaken, and I want to talk about the quickening that we receive in grace. And I came to this from this quote, which we talked about at our class yesterday, and it's from the 5 Principles from Ellen Davenport, and her quote is, how do we apply these principles when we're sick, broke, heartbroken, scared, angry, or apathetic? How do we make choices day in and day out in alignment with principle so that we can, bit by bit, create the kingdom of heaven on earth? And that's what we want to talk about. That's where we want to go today. Because what I know to be true is that there is a certain way that we become motivated, even in that depths of darkness, even in when we're heartbroken or angry or scared. There are cues from grace that bring us into a place of motivation to change. And I'll give you an example of this. One really great example of this is the 12-step movement talks about that people come to them when they hit rock bottom. Rock bottom doesn't feel like zeal, but I'll tell you, it sure is. It sure is. Because rock bottom is the motivation to get up and climb. Rock bottom is a whole different level of motivation. So when we're going through all of these things in our life, if we can look at them not as the thing that is grinding me down to the ground and I will not make it through this, but this is the thing that gives me the oomph to say, no more of this. I need to make a change. Then that is an aspect of zeal. That is an aspect of motivation that we can tap into, that is our innate power of zeal within us. So now I did promise you some extra readings today, and I do have a reading that I'd like Steph to do for us.
The call. I've heard it all my life. A voice calling a name I recognized as my own. Sometimes it comes as a soft-bellied whisper. Sometimes it holds an edge of urgency. But always it says, wake up, my love. You are walking asleep. There's no safety in that. Remember what you are, and let this knowing take you home to the beloved with every breath. Hold tenderly who you are, and let deeper knowing color the shape of your humanness. There is a nowhere to go. What you are looking for is right here. Open the fist clenched in wanting and see what you already hold in your hand. There is no waiting for something to happen, no point in the future to get to. All you have ever longed for is here in this moment. You are wearing yourself out with all this searching. Come home and rest. How much longer can you live like this? Your hungry spirit is gaunt. Your heart stumbles. All this trying, give it up. Let yourself be one of the God mad, faithful only to the beauty you are. Let the lover pull you to your feet and hold you close, dancing even when your urges when fear urges you to sit this one out. Remember, there is one word you are here to say with your whole being. When it finds you, give your life to it. Don't be tight-lipped and stingy. Spend yourself completely on the same. Be one word in this great love poem we are writing together.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lines that really hit me in that. Sometimes it holds an edge of urgency, but always it says, "Wake up, my love, you are walking asleep." There is no safety in that. Remember who you are and let this knowing take you home to the beloved with every breath. And then later she says, there is no waiting for something to happen, no point in the future to get to. All you have ever longed for is here in this moment, right now. This moment right now is a moment of grace. This moment right now, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what is coming up in your life, regardless of what is coming up in your heart, this moment is the moment of grace. This moment is the moment that is calling you to that higher level of yourself, to that deeper level of yourself. This moment is the moment of grace that is quickening within you, that is showing you, motivating you to do the thing, to move the way, to be that which you are. Where is God taking you in this moment? Where's the God within opening a door for you? In our 5 principles class yesterday, we were talking about that final principle, which is that it's not enough to know what the principles are. We have to live the principles. That's why we do this, because we need to be able to live the principles. And we know that sometimes that's not easy. It's simple. There's 5 pretty simple principles, but it's not always easy to do that. It's not always easy to be in that place of knowing your God self. And so as I prepared for class this past week, I had an opportunity in my own life where the consistency of my spiritual practice really came to bear, where I really had to find that within myself, because I was feeling some stuff. And I knew that I needed to find the motivation to move myself out of that. Because hiding in my inner self, hiding in my closet, hiding in my home, trying to not be out in the world, it didn't feel safe in that moment. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm here for. That's not how I bring my goodness out into the world. So instead, I followed the principles, and I recognized that God was present right there, and that I am that I am with that I am the life of God in the world, and therefore my word has power. My thought has power, and so I bring my thought and my God self to bear in everything that I do, and I bring my prayer into everything I do, and my spiritual practice into everything I do, and therefore I change the experience because I can be that. So I know that this is a teaching that changes our lives. It changes everything. It has changed everything for me. I take a look in the life that I used to live way back in the day. Gosh, it was only about 15 years ago that I was spending most of my year in depression. 15, 20 years ago, I didn't know that I would make it to this age. I didn't know that I wanted to. This changes everything. But you know what? I had to go through all of that. I had to go through every step of that, because I remember that there was a point at which I said no more. I said, no more. I need to do something different. I need to find a way to do something different, to create something different in my life. And guess what? That right there, that no more was the whisper of grace. That no more, that was the movement of zeal through me that gave me the power to move my life in a different direction, to make a different choice. That is zeal. So zeal isn't always the, oh, we're going to go dancing on the mountain today. Zeal isn't always that. Sometimes zeal is just picking yourself up off the floor and saying, no more. I change now. I change everything right here and now. There's a poem that I wrote a number of years ago that I want to share with you. It's called The Whisper of Grace. I stumbled and crashed chaotically through the issues of my day, deafened by my struggle, frustrated in my petty hurts, but life always finds its time to force the mind to stop. And in the unexpected stillness of one lucid moment, the hushed whisper of grace spoke my name. In that calmly awakened moment, as the rain danced a soft shoe on my roof, I saw the not enoughness in my struggles. Now there comes a point when surrender's the only way. So as I gently loosed my grip on the thousand shoulds I'd owned, the soft whisper of grace cried my name. Letting go a lifetime of mindless expectations like an armload of blackened rubble, surprised by the shadow of grief on my heart, I felt suddenly protective over my fledgling epiphany. And as I wrapped my heart around this small new blessing of freedom, the tender whisper of grace called my name. For on this one day, in this one moment, grace was not a celebratory fanfare or an exultant bellowing lion. On this one day, in this one moment, as peace, joy, and freedom arose within me like a sacred spring, grace was, for me, a whisper, a playful whisper, an alluring whisper, a fierce whisper, a whisper pregnant with life and purpose, a whisper that changed everything, and only in the heart of stillness did I hear it call my name. We have these opportunities that arise, and we get really worked up in them. I know I do. I get really, maybe you're probably way higher on the spiritual path than I am already, but I know that I get really worked up in those little minutia moments, those little things in my life that either frustrate me or cause me pain, that where I feel my own buttons that I've installed get pushed by someone or something. I know that these things happen, and yet when it happens, I feel it, and I have to remind myself, I have to stop and allow myself the inner stillness, that moment of inner stillness, to remember that this little hurt, this thing that I'm feeling right now, this struggle, this isn't a bad thing. This thing right here is an opportunity. This thing right here is grace. It's telling me that I have something to heal. It's telling me that I have been believing a lie about myself. It's telling me that I'm not enough, but yet I am more than enough. Right? That thing that pokes at me, that tells me that I am less than, is only showing me what I already believe. And I can change that. And when I change that, everything changes. Oops. On this one day, in this one moment, Grace was not a celebratory fanfare. It was a whisper. And in that heart of stillness, that's where grace happens. That's where grace comes to us. That's where grace quickens. I love the word quickening. That's something that Charles Fillmore uses a lot. And coming from the working with birth, working as a birth doula and taking midwifery studies, the quickening is when you feel the baby move for the first time. It's when you know that there's life there. And it's small, it's a whisper, but there's life there. That's what grace is. It may be small, it may be a whisper, but it's the life that's there for us. So that's our talk for today. Just the quickening of grace.